says, this is Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to all apostles, our elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well on sound doctrine. Peace, love, and salutation to you. I'm out there doing the work with truth and sincerity. My brothers Royale down here at the GMS Virginia camp, back on another lesson through the Spirit of Yahweh Yahushai. And the title of this lesson is The Elect Will Be Delivered by the Chariots, which are the so-called UFOs, the unidentified flying objects. The things of, the sightings that's all across America and throughout the four corners of the planet Earth that people are talking about and things are brewing about pertaining to World War III. All right, there is going to be a nuclear war. Okay, and the only way through salvation, all right, the only way the elect is going to be delivered is the chariots. All right, and only 144,000 and a 1/3, okay, which is a large multitude of men, women, and children, will be delivered. All right, so I'm going to read this again. This is Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 20. It says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. Those chambers, all right, speaking about what? The chariots, right? And it says, shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed, right? Because it is going to be a moment, all right? Matter of fact, let's get that real quick, because everything, matter of fact, let me get this precept as well. This is 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 18. And it says, if the righteous be scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and sinner appear? Right? So it said scarcely be saved, meaning what? It's going to the word scarcely. It says with difficulty, hardly, not easily, scarcely, very rarely, right? It says with difficulty, with much work, probably with variation, right? So with that being said, it's not going to be easy for the elect to obtain salvation. And that's why the scripture says what? Work out thy own salvation with fear and trembling, because you don't know who's going to make it. The days of evil are approaching us. So many things are happening on a global scale, all right? There's so many things that could just, happen to where you could receive that judgment. And that's why it's very important, to pray to Yahweh Shem Shai and do everything that is required of you so you can make it upon that chariot, because the Lord is only dealing with a select few. And to prove that, let's get the book of Zechariah, chapter 13 and verse 8. And it says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, what land? The land of Babylon, right? 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left in. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people. They shall say, the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is my power. Right, so with that being said, 2/3 of our people, that's 66.6%, all right, of the nation of Israel that's going to perish. All right, now 1/3, I believe, is 33.3%, all right, that is going to make it, all right. So with that being said, that's a small number. That's a remnant, okay? And the Lord spoke about that remnant. Matter of fact, let's look at the word remnant in the blue letter and see what comes up. If I spelled remnant right. It's a lot of them, but it's a particular one that I'm looking for. This is Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 9. It says, except the Lord of hosts had left us a small remnant, we should have been as Sodom. We should have been like unto Gomorrah, right? That small remnant, okay, is who? Let's look into the word remnant. Because remnant is pretty much the remainings, right? It says remnant, it says survivor, that which is left, the survivors, right? The rest, right? The grape of the cluster that the book of Second Esdras speaks about, right? That remnant is the elect. Okay, what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? Okay, fire came down from heaven, and it was straight judgment because of the sodomy and the idolatry and all the abominable things that they were doing. Okay, in this place, Babylon the Great, aka America, is full of Shalakia. It's full of the abominable things that were happening, okay, in Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, those same things are happening here today. So what do you think the Lord is going to do? The Lord is going to burn this place with fire, as the scriptures have said. All right, but while that fire is being burned, someone has to be delivered. Someone has to survive this. All right, because that's going to glorify the names of Yahweh Shemi Shai, that great deliverance. Just like you had deliverance in the land of Egypt, this is that second Egypt. All right, matter of fact, let's get that. Isaiah verse 11 and this is Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time, right? When was the first time? The second time, to recover the remnant of his people. When was the first time? All right, during the time of Egypt. Okay, when he sent Moses and Aaron and so on and so forth, all right, to deliver the nation of Israel out of Egypt and out of their bondage, right? And it says, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea, right? What is that saying? That all the Israelites that are scattered amongst these different nations and these different land masses, okay, that remnant is going to be delivered, all right? All right, and it says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel. Right, who are the outcasts of Israel? The ones who are scattered amongst those nations. All right, that look like the heathen nations, but and I quote, the Israelites. All right, and more so the elect. It says, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Right, disperse, which means scatter. Right, went into that word before in one of my other lessons. It says, in the Pash, it says to shatter, break, beat into pieces. It says to disperse, scatter, overspread, scatter, right? So we're dispersed. And the Greek word for disperse is diaspora, which simply means the scattering of the Israelites, all right? So with that being said, okay, the Israelites are going to be delivered. The elect is going to be delivered throughout the four corners of planet Earth by those chariots. And another precept to prove that, let's go to Psalms chapter 91. And I got one more after that. This is Psalms chapter 91 and verse 1. It says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my power, in him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. What is that noisome pestilence? Right, the nuclear missiles, all right? It's going to be a noisome and grievous sounds, okay? Men's hearts are going to be failing. A woman and mighty men shall be afraid, okay? Because this is something that we're going to encounter that nobody on the planet Earth have ever seen. Like it says in the book of Daniel, 12th chapter. This is something that, a time like never before, where Michael the archangel will have to intervene. Okay, we're going to need divine intervention. We're going to need those chariots to deliver us, man. We can't deliver ourselves. We can't catch a flight or catch a boat to be delivered from nuclear missiles. No, we need to be delivered up. Like it says, come up hither, right? It says, verse 4, he shall cover thee with the feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Yes, shield and buckler is pretty much protection, okay, shelter, right? And those feathers are speaking about what? The chariots, okay? The Lord is going to cover us with the chariots, man. Like it says, we shall be standing on a sea of glass, okay? We're going to be able to see the firmament, and we're going to be standing on that glass or looking through the glass, okay, in the chariot, seeing the destruction of Babylon the Great, standing afar off, like the scripture says. Someone has to be delivered, right? Matter of fact, and just to prove that, to end it off, let's go to Revelation chapter 7 and verse 1. And it says, and after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. He said, hurt not this earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. Who are the servants? The elect. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And as it goes into 12,000 from each tribe. All right. So that destruction, okay, that is going to be brought here to America, it's not going to happen until the elect is sealed. And once the elect is sealed, hey, when that destruction cometh, this is what's going to happen. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse in verse 52. No, verse 51. It says, no, verse 50. It says, now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven, neither do corruption inherit corruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Meaning what? The ones who died in the truth, serving Yahweh Shem Yahushua, hey, they're going to be raised up. They're going to be changed. All right? They're going to put on what? Those, right here it says, verse 53, for this corruptible must put on incorruption. This mortal must put on immortality. Immortality, man. All right, let that sink in. I mean, we're going to get new bodies. The laws, statutes, commandments are going to be written in our inward parts. We're no longer going to sin. Okay, our body, our skin, our eyesight, our strength, okay, our stamina, endurance, everything is going to be perfected. Okay, perfected, right? And it says, so when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and the mortal shall have put on immortal, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in the victory. Right? So with that being said, the elect is going to be delivered and it's going to be changed. Someone has to live to tell this story. All right? Someone has to live and experience everything to be able to speak about the stories in the kingdom of heaven. That's going to be the elect. Okay? The first fruits, which is the first spirits of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know? So with that, I didn't want to make this too long, Lord. Once at a final, we'll give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, B'Shem Rakah and do honors to apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone. And salutations to the hopeful Kwame Asherala, Waffle and Shalom.